What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Infamous Ghost Money, and in this video, we're gonna look into a fraud crew that has stolen millions of dollars from victims across the United States over the past 10 years through a smash and grab check fraud method that has become known as the Felony Lane Gang. We're gonna look into the origins of the Felony Lane Gang and how they pull off their fraud schemes, as well as some simple things you could do to defend against it. So if you find value in the video, make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel to add some quality, practical, and informative financial content to your YouTube timeline and stay one step ahead of these fraudsters. Let's get to that 20K in subs, y'all. I appreciate all the support. Facts. Alright, let's get right into the information. March 18th, 2014, Travis J. Russ of Fort Lauderdale, Florida was sentenced to over 15 years in prison for being one of the leaders in a conspiracy that stole over $1 million through check fraud that was carried out at bank drive-through teller windows. The FBI would end up giving Russ and his crew the name Felony Lane Gang, since these fraudsters used the drive-through teller lanes that were furthest from bank surveillance cameras in attempts to avoid being detected while they carried out their fraud tactics. Since then, this method of check fraud has been popping up all over the US, and it's hard to tell if all the crews that are doing it are connected, but it seems like the method originated in Fort Lauderdale, Florida around 2012 and has been lining the pockets of many of these fraudsters since. FLG's MO for fraud starts with breaking into cars, mainly of women, at locations they'd foolishly be more likely to leave their belongings in their car, such as their purses, credit cards, IDs, and other personal information. After they've broken into a bunch of cars and stolen enough information, they drive around recruiting women who are often drug addicts, homeless, fresh out of jail, or just straight up with the fraud life. They then doll these ladies up with makeup, wigs, and the flyest H&M accessories in attempts to make them more closely resemble the victims whose cars they burglarized. Then they proceed to hit banks, using these ladies as runners to cash fake and stolen checks in the names of these victims across the United States, as well as using these victims' credit cards to go on luxurious shopping sprees. Ballin'! You see, this is what makes FLG's scheme sort of a cheat code when it comes to check frauding compared to typical fraud rings, due to the fact that these women are posing as the account owners or simply cashing the checks as non-customers in the victims' names. So there's no need to open an account or deposit any checks, causing the female recruits to effectively separate their true identities from the crimes, also allowing for the recruits to be used much more than a typical money mule or burner account scheme. Finally, after a successful day's work, they split the proceed and pay the ladies out a minimal amount of money or just give them their preferred drug of choice for their services. But as with many of these fraud schemes, the FBI is actively monitoring this method and putting many of these fraudsters behind bars with some pretty hefty sentences. Such as on Friday, July 16, 2021, the remaining defendants of a fraud scheme were sentenced to federal prison for felony lane gang type criminal activity in Baton Rouge and across Louisiana. According to the indictment related to the case, from August 2016 through February 2017, the defendants traveled through numerous states where they would break into unattended vehicles, stealing the victims' licenses, checkbooks, credit and debit cards, and then using the stolen items to conduct fraudulent transactions at the victims' banks, stealing over $350,000 from Louisiana victims alone. Throughout the course of the conspiracy, the posse would attempt to evade law enforcement by monitoring social media and other websites for reports of the Felony Lane Gang and use that information to plot the courses of their trips. They also mapped out days in advance the areas they planned to do their car break-ins and the banks that they would hit up to cash checks, since they were very strategic with how they pulled off their schemes, using multiple rentals and stolen cars as they traveled around cashing checks. One car would be used by the runner to hit the drive-thru, and the other would be used as a lookout for law enforcement as the play was going down. They impacted hundreds of Louisiana victims and even broke into a woman's car and stole her personal information as she visited her mother's grave at a cemetery. Nah, you going to hell for that one. Despite their efforts, the indictment calls out several occasions in which the members of the conspiracy were caught on surveillance, arrested, and found in possession of multiple pieces of stolen information, as well as the makeup, lip gloss, mascara, and wigs the ladies would wear when they played fraudster dress up. All 10 members of the crew would be arrested, plead guilty, and be sentenced between August 2018 and July 2021, with 2 members of the conspiracy, Michael D. Gibbs aka BG and Brandon J. Gassett aka Boot Daddy, both from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, being sentenced to 96 and 84 months respectively. Sheesh. Now I need y'all to hear me out, y'all. These cases are popping up on a regular basis, so it's important that you are aware of some steps you could take to avoid being a victim of a FLG type scheme. First, don't leave your wallet, purse, or anything of value in your car unattended. This may seem like common sense, but I've come to learn common sense just ain't so common. By leaving things like this in your car, you're only making it a target to be broken into. If you must leave something of value in your car unattended, at least put it in the trunks for peeps' sake. Next, don't use checks. Like, just stop using them. Who still carries a checkbook? If you must have a checkbook, leave the thing at home. Ain't nobody but a fraudster interested in your checks nowadays. Trust me. If you insist on having checks and carrying them around and you happen to lose them, just know you pretty much just handed over your account to whoever finds it, especially if it ends up in the wrong hands. If your checks are ever lost or stolen, immediately contact your bank to put a freeze on your account so no cash could be debited from it. By doing this, it will also allow you time to get new accounts set up, but you'll also have to switch over all your auto payments, bill payments, and reset up any direct deposits you might have, which could be very annoying. So like I've said many times in the past, just stop using checks. Finally, don't be one of those people that carries your social security card in your wallet or your purse. Your social security number combined with your identification card is enough information to get accounts opened in your name at many institutions. And although you can replace your social security card, once your social security number is out there, fraudsters could do all sorts of madness with it. So keep your social at home and only bring it out when it's actually needed. But with that being said, that's the video on the Felony Lane gang. If you found value in the video, make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel to catch more of my content on financial fraud and stay one step ahead of these fraudsters. Alright, peace.